Welcome back, guys! I've got another episode of Bible Q&A for you. Today we're discussing, must we go to church? Yes, we should go to church for several reasons. First, it allows us to meet other Christians and learn about God. Jesus Christ liked it when people went to church, which was why he said in the book of Matthew, "The scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not." Matthew chapter 23 verses 2 to 3. He was telling people, listen to what my enemies say. Because there was truth in it, obviously. They inherited all the scrolls from the adventures of Moses and stuff, but they just didn't do what it was they were teaching. Plus, in Luke chapter 4 verses 17 to 27, Jesus actually spent time to sit in a synagogue filled with people that he was better than. But he still sat there. It helps no matter what kind of level you are. Second, for children and teenagers growing up in the faith, going to church allows us to grow our knowledge so that we can be entrenched in God's wisdom when we are adults. Timothy was a good example of how this can work, as it was said in 2 Timothy, "But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them, and that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith which is in Jesus Christ." 2 Timothy chapter 3 verses 14 to 15. Third, going to church creates joy, love, happiness, and all that other good stuff. It creates joy for Christians because, as it was said in the book of Hebrews, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching." Hebrews chapter 10 verses 24 to 25 according to the New International Version. So, what's the big deal then? There doesn't need to be so much of an emphasis on going to this physical place and singing and dancing. Remember, several places in the Bible talk about the church in people's houses. You just need to be with a group of people who all want to learn about God. It doesn't have to be this special building. As it was said by Jesus Christ, "Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven." Matthew chapter 7 verse 21. What's the point of putting emphasis on a building when not everyone in that building is going to be righteous? No, the true church is everyone that is willing to work towards serving God properly. It's a lifestyle, not a building, and it involves many different virtues. Let's look at this place from Galatians. "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law." Galatians chapter 5 verses 22 to 23. We can also look at 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 12, 2 Peter chapter 1 verses 5 to 8, Matthew chapter 5 verses 10 to 12, Acts chapter 14 verse 22, and more. Let's go back to Jesus. Jesus wasn't a man who liked clapping and singing. No, he got straight to what was required of him. He refused to be hypocritical, according to Matthew chapter 15 verses 7 to 9. He was an example to others, according to 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 21. He overcame temptations through prayer, according to Matthew chapter 4 verses 1 to 11, and he faithfully endured persecution, according to Philippians chapter 2 verses 5 to 8. Isn't that more important than going somewhere every Sunday? When we choose to live in righteousness, then we are going to be learning about these virtues. Yes, we have to be in church, but we have to think of church differently. That's my advice. A church is not a building. It is a group of people, sometimes scattered all over the world, who believe in God and want to live their lives according to what he says. And that is where I think I'm going to stop with this Bible Q&A. Must we go to church? Yes. But sometimes we're already in a church without even thinking about it. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe.